So brokers, if you're not feeling how brutal recruiting is right now, check your pulse, because agent recruiting in 2025 is an absolute bloodbath, and the people winning are not the ones selling culture and splits. They're selling systems, guarantees, and outcomes. We talked about this yesterday. Today, I want to talk about two things. Number one, why serious agents now demand guarantees and a real operating system, not just a brand logo. And number two, why NAR is out here talking about value and trust and astronomical ROI on dues, while fee structures, lawsuits, and real-world behavior are telling a completely different story. So let's just pop back to yesterday and the intensity of recruiting and the shrinking agent pool. I mentioned, and I think this is quite widely publicized now, that 70% of all real estate agents didn't do a single transaction last year. This year. Don't know what the figure's going to be for this year. I think even higher. Some people I know that have done 25 transactions consistently for the last 25 years. Last year did 8. This year have done 2 so far, and a bunch of full, if they did have listings, they got cancelled. Some have closed. Some have closed $500,000 less than what they were listed for. Like, come on, you know better than, they don't have a history of pricing properties like that. It's just, I guess somebody had to move. But anyway, the productive agents are swarmed. Those that are busy are really busy. Those that don't have anything going on really seriously don't have anything going on. So the shift inside brokerages has gone from headcounts to producers with systems in place. And I was talking to a team leader yesterday with Compass, and she was telling me something similar, that they were just trimming the fat, getting rid of a bunch of talent. Well, they were getting rid of the talentless and keeping the talent. Looking to they have a team. They paid Compass 10%. I didn't think that was too bad. There's no cap at Compass, of course. And you have to question the value that you get out of. So 10% before it even hits this team split is, I suppose, is probably quite comparable to a Remax, I would think. You've got your 7% franchise fee. If you cap out, I suppose, it might be a little bit more. I don't know why they just don't. I don't know why they're under those brokers. Companies like Side, if you've heard of Side, they have a pretty good program, and we've modeled a few other brokerages around that, where you can brand yourself. You can do like a DBA service, pay $99 a month, and completely use your own name, essentially run your own shop. Literally like a broker for hire, the technology for hire. That works. That model works pretty well. And we've got a few brokerages that we recruit for like that, where they charge $600 or $1,000, $1,200 a transaction side. It just depends on where they are. Texas, you get about $1,000 a transaction side is kind of the going rate. California, Bay Area, 600 to 1,000 is kind of the going rate. And if you really want to attract a lot of agents, now you need to be at the 500 mark ish. E&O is nonsense. Charging extra E&O to your agents. I think that brokers are going to get slammed for this next year. They're going to come after brokers for selling an insurance product without a license to sell insurance, because you're making a profit on it. So, or it's fraud, right? One of the two things, right? You're not actually selling. You could ask for a contribution towards your E&O insurance policy. Why are you charging it? I don't know in the first place. I mean, we take policies out for brokerages all the time. And you can have 100 agents, 200 agents, and the policy value is like, somewhere between $500 and $1,500 for the year. So I don't know why it's necessary to charge a separate E&O fee and a separate line item for that. And I really do think somebody's coming after the brokers for adding that on. Just make it one simple fee. It makes so much more sense. So anyway, today, the next step on what we were talking about yesterday, agents choosing a brokerage with an operating system with guarantees, not just the brand. So to get a little techie, what is an operating system? So if you look at Windows or Mac OS, right, and think about your computer as a piece of hardware. So the computer itself has chips inside, motherboard, things attached to it, cameras, screen, all the rest of it. Every time you power it on, it needs to be told where to even look for the hard disk, how to work a hard disk. Like, it knows nothing. And booting a computer, it came from the phrase pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, which is like sort of little by little. So it starts off with, there's a battery inside it and the BIOS, and it starts but with a very simple instruction that says, here's where you find the first bit of data, read this, and then the next instruction, and the next instruction, and the next instruction. And gradually the boot process is instruction on this, instruction on this, instruction on this, in a sequential order to get to the point where you can run the operating system, right? So, and the operating system is like a virtualization, like you run all your applications inside the operating system, and the operating system is the thing that's responsible for all the hardware and stuff behind the scenes. So we've taken a look under the hood of a computer in a real technical way there. Computers for real estate, not for dummies. Computers for real estate agents. So under the hood, every piece of hardware needs low-level code. So the drivers that can talk to the machine, modern operating system sits on top of all of that, abstracts the messy hardware and the drivers, and gives you the clean, ready-to-go environment where apps can run. That's the definition of it, right? So you don't boot the laptop and manually load all the drivers bit by bit, like your Wi-Fi card and so forth. Same thing I'm trying to apply here in concept to a real estate brokerage. So think of the operating system as the virtual environment where your apps run without worrying about the specific hardware or drivers underneath, because that has all been handled and standardized for them. Right, so this is the team structure that I'm talking about. So you've got things like ISAs, you've got transaction coordination, you've got marketing coordination, listing coordination, showing coordination, everything done for you, a system that you can plug into. By marketing coordination, I mean you go and hold an open house, you bring back the list, send over the list of people that have visited the open house, and then the marketing team take care of everything for you. Literally a plug and play system that the agent can drop into, and we have statistical returns on what they're going to get out of the deal, out of the system. If you follow our model, we know that this results in X number of transactions on a market that is, I say, like 1,200 people, 1,200 residents. It's a good sized farm area, and it shouldn't just be digital, right? There's Park Bench, there's a couple of others that, they're selling zip codes and this, that, and the other. You don't need to buy, you might want to buy a zip code for somebody, but not as your bread and butter. You might want to buy the zip code to tie it up so no other agent has the zip code. And you want to take down signposts of other agents in that market systematically over time, farm that market. So 1,200 homes, they transact every 7.5 years or something like that on average, right? So let's just say 10 years. So every 10 years, somebody in those 1,200 homes sells. So that would mean that every year, 120 homes transact. So out of that 120 homes, how many are going to be yours versus how many are going to be another agent's? And how do we systematically take down those other agents systematically with a system? Right, we need to implement, and this is what agents are looking for. They just don't know how to execute. You can't execute it on your own. You need to do it at scale. And MNKY Agency is great at this for broker partners. We can sit here in the office and at scale we can bam, bam, bam run the marketing department for all of these agents nationwide and get things done. Everything's virtual. We don't need to be in the physical office. They don't need to meet with people. We've got the systems, the standards, everything else. It just happens. Boom, 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 boom. On call 24/7. Customer service, if you will, and operate that system for that agent in exchange for a portion of the transaction commission at the close of escrow. So really no risk, and a system that the agent can literally plug into. Welcome on board. Welcome to the team. Here's everything done for you. Go kiss some babies, meet some clients. The tech stack, the MLS access, the compliance, the marketing, the training, the paperwork, everything taken care of. And I think that's the new brokerage model, because the support systems, whatever you got going on at Keller Williams, EXP, joke, real joke, these MLM models, and your downline. Like, what are you doing with the downline? I mean, that's you're talking $1 million assets. And these agents are screwing around making TikTok videos, worrying about their downline, worrying about recruiting other agents underneath them and things like that. You're not even out there selling properties yourself. It's very hard to attract agents to a brokerage where the broker isn't a producer. Success gravitates to success, or people gravitate to successful people. The most successful brokerages, whether it's Rodeo Realty, whether it's Nick Sadik of Sacramento, Sotheby's, some of the big teams, the producers are the ones that create that gravitational pull. And so you got to have something, right? And a Remax balloon floating over your office door isn't going to do it alone. Not saying Remax is a bad brand. I don't think the franchise model is going to stick around. I think independent advisors and empowering the advisors and brokers really treating themselves as brokers treating the agents as their clients is the way forward. And brokers supporting agents is the future of the brokerage. Everything's online now, from the portals to the home search to everything that happened over the COVID period. Everything's now online, and that's the future of the brokerage model. The bricks and mortar is nice to have as an added bonus, but you don't need the office to make the real estate brokerage successful. Low fees, high impact, that's the way forwards. The office is just packaging. It's a box, right? And yeah, that's great. If we want some public, it's advertising, right? Park bench, office. One of our clients in Truckee, he had a office in my neighborhood. So I remember, not even recently, like 10, 15 years ago. So I remember your office. Remind me where it was again. I used to drive by it all the time. He said, oh, it was here next to, I used to go there every day for lunch. I know exactly where that is. But now having that one office in the one community doesn't make a lot of sense. Having 10 agents in 10 different communities as the go-to point person for let's call it the Smith team, that makes sense. The agents are now the office. They're the point of contact. We've just got to brand the agent in every neighborhood. So you're calling the Truckee office, the Tahoe Donna office, whatever you want to call it there. That's a specific agent that's handling that. So might have a phone number for it, might have a website for it, or we'll certainly have a website for it. But that is the office, digital office. And then if we were to take out billboards for $1,000 a month, something else for $1,000 a month, something else for $1,000 a month, some mailers, why not have an office? Build that in. Signage out front, same as a billboard. Walk in, somebody in there, nobody in there, passcode on the door, agents can come and go, something like that. Simple. So this ties in. So to summarize, agents don't want promises anymore. They want guarantees. They want the leads. They want the scripts. They want the operating system, and they want a clear path to predictable income, because all predictability has gone out the window. Like I said, agents I know have known for 25 years have done nothing, and they've never done nothing. They've done 25 transactions. The old pitch was, we've got a great culture and a nice split. The 2025-2026 pitch is, here is the system. Here's what you do week by week. Here's the ramp up plan, and here's the proof that it works. And we've got proof across the country. So if you're still selling culture, office, and splits, you're losing to other brokers that are selling systems, guarantees, and outcomes. And if you can't tell me your cost per productive agent and their 3-year lifetime value, then you're not recruiting, you're collecting business cards. If you can't tell me your cost per productive agent and their lifetime value to your brokerage, then you're not recruiting. You're just collecting business cards of useless agents. At MNKY Agency, you don't pay for hires, you pay for production. We are the only recruiting agency that makes money when the agents bring you closed deals, not when they sign paperwork, not on the monthly basis. Our model is simple. It is pay for production. There's no retainers, there's no monthly fees, there's no paying for ghosts, just a small fee of $100 per transaction side when an agent actually closes a transaction, and we recruit on scale. We provide learning materials on scale, training on scale, coaching on scale for brokerages all across the country. Something that works for one, we deploy it with all. It's a unique model, and it's blowing up. It's gone absolutely crazy this year. And all agents are looking for the search terminology. We run millions of landing pages, and the search terminology that's driving traffic in from everybody is leads, systems, people trying to systemize their business, agents trying to systemize their business. That's the search criteria that they're looking for. And there's any top producer, anyone doing 6 to 10 transactions a year, my goodness, the number of emails that they get, come and work for us, 100% split. We've got leads. Sure. What do I do with the leads? Are they any good? They don't want leads. They want a system to follow, right? You do these things, you follow every item on the checklist, tick, 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 tick. There's a known return from the effort, a return on investment, whether it's financial investment, whether it's effort that you put in. There's a return on the effort, return on the investment. So anyway, just like the operating system, MNKY Agency is here to handle the complexities, is here to build the system for the brokerage and the agent, provide the technologies and everything else. And we do this at scale. This is what we do. Moving on, time for a rant. Let's talk about NAR and their value and trust article. So Real Estate News ran this piece calling 2025 NAR doubled down on value and trust while the industry pushed back. Lawsuits over forced membership, MLSs ignoring their policies, alternative trade groups forming, and broker coalitions demanding accountability. Right. So, lawsuits. Let's talk about those. Georgia, California, Washington, D.C., these mandatory memberships that NAR have, they're cascading, no, not even cascading. They're mandatory memberships, similar to the Thompson broker thing, right? They are getting accused of being a cartel, that it is unfair that they are requiring people to join NAR to have access to the MLS. And they're locking these MLS systems up behind the membership, which if they owned the MLS, I suppose is one thing, but in a lot of these cases they don't. The MLS is a separate company, and they've got the screws into the MLS. They want everybody to join up, and even in the Thompson broker states, Florida, Georgia, you have to specifically ask the MLS that you want to join as a Thompson broker, and they'll often say that's not possible. You have to join the association until you demand it. And then they put you on hold, and then they come back and they say, "Oh yes, that is an option. You need to fill out this paperwork." It's going to be more expensive than if you were a realtor and member of the National Association of Realtors. It's really a joke. But the MLSs are pushing back. There are some third-party MLSs now. The NLS, the National Listing Service, which has become international. I've seen advertisements for it all over the world. When I've been out of the US, there's advertisements in Spain saying, and other countries saying this opens you up to the US market, which is quite interesting. Houston Association of Realtors. If you're in the Houston, logged into HAR, their MLS, they have an international MLS as well. I think it just sounds funny because it's not. Miami, Florida, Stella, they have that too. That's called Omni, and it covers sort of the Caribbean areas and Dominican Republic and Mexico, and which you can kind of get from, Miami being just right in that area, that it's close to some islands and so forth. I suppose that makes sense. Texas, Houston. I thought that was funny the first time I saw it. So some new groups have formed. Pro Agent Restore Trust in NAR is a working group that's gaining members such as Douglas Elliman. Why are people backing NAR? There's such a bullshit organization. They've just scammed people for years out of these decades out of these membership fees, and they provide zero in benefits. What is there, $200 and something $5 a year worth to the agent? Literally, it all just goes towards lobbying for what? To push through rules against their members. The whole NAR settlement thing was, I am convinced, a ploy to get something done, right? We've got all of these members, we can't impose a law, but if we've got a monopoly on this trade organization, the Teamsters, then we just make everybody within that organization do what we tell them to, right? And we do that on a national scale. So NAR's pushing this public narrative of value and trust on the grounds that lawsuits, alternative associations, and MLSs are quietly saying no thanks to NAR policy. That's not stability, that's fracture. Yeah, it's definitely fractured. I have been trying to join the Florida Gulf Coast MLS for the last few weeks. And here's where it gets really fucking fishy for me personally, right? I'm calling these guys up and they're like, first of all, no, you can't join. You have to be a member of the National Association of Realtors. I'm like, no, you don't. You can be a Thompson broker. It's Florida, right? Come on. Okay. It's going to be $3,000 for the brokerage per year to join the MLS. Stella is $685, just up the road. The other one, Beaches, $675. These guys, $3,000. So there's $1,500 a year. And this is MLS only. This is not NAR. It's cheaper to join if you're a member of NAR. This is just what they're doing. It's cheaper if you join NAR than if you want to join without NAR. So bundle the membership in and we'll give it to you for $600, right? But if you're not a NAR member, you're paying $1,500 a year in an office fee. You're paying a $500 application fee, a $250 application, a $250 setup fee. I don't know the difference between that or application. So $750 in application and setup, $1,500 a year. And then the actual MLS bit's only like $500, and this $3,000 is absolutely crazy. And they make it cheaper if you join the National Association of Realtors to keep their membership and to keep the rules imposed on all of the members of that membership. So it's cheaper to join with the membership, right? Otherwise, you're paying $3,000 versus $1,500 or $1,000, right? So at least $1,500 to $2,000 more to join without the NAR restrictions. But if you accept, all of the rules, the settlement rules that they've agreed to, your buyer's broker agreements, your commission sharing stuff, all of that just comes from the settlement that they made over the buyer's broker commissions and all of that nonsense. It doesn't apply. It's not law in the States. It is a rule, not law, and it only applies to NAR members. It doesn't apply to real estate. It only applies to realtors. It doesn't apply to real estate agents. Another pet peeve is that half the realtors can't even pronounce realtor. Anyway, if your membership is really about value, then you don't have to punish the people that say no thank you to it, right? People should want to join because they want to join, right? Not because the alternative is getting bent over. They tell the courts MLS access is local and independent. On the streets, that's not the case. They've decoupled, or they've publicly, that comes into effect in January. What they've now done is they've allowed the local associations to offer MLS independently. If the local associations have to also prove their worth to their membership and not just get bypassed, and no, we don't need the local county association of realtors. Who's going in there anymore buying triplicate carbon copy forms? Nobody. So what do you need the local association for? For the once a year annual Masters Club brunch? $600 brunch? I don't know. Anyway, this is exactly why you're seeing all of these antitrust lawsuits pop up all over the country. This cartel is going to get taken down. And this president of Kia, right, the president of NAR, is saying that you get astronomical ROI for your $201 membership. Astronomical. So make that make sense to me. What's this? What is the ROI? I mean, first of all, what is astronomical ROI? Like, can you 10x that 200? Do you get $2,011 back every year by 10xing your NAR membership? Do you get $600 back from your NAR membership? What actual value are you getting out of that membership? I wouldn't call it astronomical ROI. Call out the disconnect. So on one hand, you've got this polished narrative. We went on a listening tour. We've got a 3-year plan. We've got 75 projects in the work. We're fixing the culture. We're fixing the financing. Trust us, bro. We're working on it. On the other hand, you've got a bunch of lawsuits and everybody calling them cartels. These problems that I'm personally experiencing, trying to get brokerages all across the country set up with expanding into different markets and so forth, and it's prohibitive. It's totally different on the streets than what this lady has going on in her head. So This $201 bargain is absolute bullshit. And I don't get it. And why you got a black lady as the president of NAR? NAR is like the most racist trade organization out there. It wasn't until 1961 that they even allowed black people to join. And it wasn't until the late 60s or 70s that they stopped discouraging black people to join. The whole Thompson broker thing, this MLS only thing, came about because there was a guy called Mr. Thompson that was a member of an association in Georgia. I believe it was Georgia, but it applies to Florida, Georgia, Alabama, because the appeals court is the federal appeals court is in the jurisdiction is those areas. But the Mr. Thompson sued because they wouldn't allow him as a black man to join the association, and therefore he couldn't join the MLS, and therefore he couldn't do his job as a real estate agent. And he stood up for it. And now you got this black woman as CEO, and she's been sent out to sell the turnaround stories on and the optics on this are insane. Here's what pisses me off as the person that runs MNKY Agency. I am over these organizations that just say, trust the ROI, while all of the incentives are backwards. They get paid upfront, whether they screw you over or help you or what. Their policies, whether they hurt you or they improve your business, doesn't matter to them. They already got paid. So least route of resistance, right? And spin these stupid optics. The MNKY Agency business model is centered on the exact opposite of these policies. We don't make any money until our brokers and agents make money. Our interests are completely aligned. So if you're tired of paying into systems that don't feel aligned with your outcomes, it might be time to rethink your operating system. If you want a recruiting partner who only wins when your agents produce, that's literally the only game that we play here at MNKY Agency. Pay for production or don't pay at all. So book a recruiting consultation with my team. Let's look at your current roster and build you a recruiting operating system that actually pays you back.